According to the butterfly effect, the fate of humanity can change with a single choice. In other words, it's a crappy phenomenon, at least for our protagonist. That's because so far, he has made several decisions in his life that he regrets. Someone on the other side of the door calls out to Darling and asks if he's listening. The person says she has come all this way because she knows he's inside. So he'd better open the door. She has already spoken with Ophelia from the teacher's house and knows the boy has no classes today. The person keeps insisting, while the protagonist mutters that there's no worse stalker than this one. Suddenly, the person says, "All right then," and stabs the door, announcing that she's breaking in. The boy is obviously terrified by this crazy woman. She starts cutting through the door while he protests that this is against the rules. The student council president should be the one to punish people for this kind of thing. However, she simply bursts through the door and says that, unfortunately, she is the president. She wonders why he always keeps exactly 32 meters away from her. Our boy is horrified that this lunatic actually measures the distance. Now we get a better look at her. She's wearing a small hat, bright red lipstick, and has silver hair. This girl reminds me of Esdeath from Akame ga Kill, with charm, confidence, and a bit of mischief. She asks him when he will finally marry her. But suddenly, another voice in the room questions what the princess is talking about. A girl with cat-like ears watches from the window and wants to know if that's really how her family works. The protagonist recognizes the cat girl as Saras. The northerner scoffs, saying this place is too bright for an assassin to show up. She didn't want any witnesses, seeing what she and he were about to do. So Sarah should leave, however, Sarah sticking out her tongue. Replies that killing witnesses is exactly her job as a princess. Our poor protagonist just stands there, saying he feels incredibly uncomfortable with this whole situation. He hasn't even considered marriage. So what are they talking about? Then suddenly the ceiling explodes. Another badass has arrived, guys. The two girls glare furiously at the newcomer, while our boy wonders why Lilu is here too. This girl's got style, and even has a tribal tattoo on her thigh. She tells our boy it's time for him to start living with her. All the wedding preparations are ready, so he just needs to hurry up and go. But before anything else happens, another black-haired girl gets a chain thrown at her Kurapika style, just as she was in the middle of asking Daud why. He's always surrounded by a bunch of conceited aristocrats. Man, this cast is full of powerful characters. And now a mischievous little witch appears, wondering why there are so many jealous women here. Daud Campbell has belonged to her for a long time. Her name is Fainal. Now, they all stare each other down. One says this has turned into a competition. Another calls her delusional. Obviously, these women want to kill each other, and so the battle begins with our poor boy in the middle, completely lost. The real question, however, is, or how it got to this point. Our protagonist seems to start remembering everything that has happened. From the moment Elnor proposed to him, that's when he starts talking about the survival game that got him into this mess. The game was called Savior in Ascension, or simply SA for short. Anyone who saw the game for the first time would think it's trash for nerds, but our protagonist had already completed the game and seen the ending. He thought it was perfect, fun, and totally worth it, but then the next day, he was transported into the game. This confuses him because he has no interest in changing the story. He doesn't hate the developer. And he's not even that attached to the protagonist for something like this to happen. Either way, he now inhabits the body of Daud Campbell, someone with absolutely no power. He's the heir to a random viscount from a desolate third world city. The Campbell territory is dedicated exclusively to agriculture. There aren't even any more chicks in the whole place. On top of that, they were barely mentioned in the original story, and that's exactly why this viscount's son, upon entering the Imperial Academy, turned that world upside down. Our boy says goodbye to his father, saying that he's leaving. The father, excited, tells him that he's truly the pride of their land. He warns him not to cause trouble and to be careful. Because Elfonte Academy is where most of the nobles gather, all he wants is for his son to keep a low profile. The boy nods, saying he understands. At this moment, Daud Campbell has F ranks in all his stats. He has no skills, no mastery, and no special talents of any kind. Even as a veteran player who has read countless stories, he's genuinely horrified to see that this character has absolutely nothing. The main quest at this point is to enter the academy and be assigned to a class, and he knows very well that according to the game's system, if you ignore the quests, you die. On top of that, Elefante Academy will soon fall into complete chaos due to civil uprisings, but our boy has no intention of doing anything that would risk his survival. He assures his father that he will do everything possible not to attract attention. He won't even dream of trying to improve his town's reputation. His father is a bit surprised. Was it really necessary to say that? Our boy adds that his grades will also be kept below average. Just to make sure no one notices him, his father sighs and tells him to just go. And man, in the next scene we see Elnor entering the school like a walking disaster waiting to happen. During the train ride, he keeps thinking, even though he's the protagonist, the only thing he wants is to avoid attention. He's been alone his whole life, and that's exactly how he plans to be at the academy too. The problem now is that he wants to know why, because from the very beginning he's in the same train car as her, and not just anyone. Her nickname isn't exactly friendly. Elnor, the Bloodthirsty, a woman who at such a young age had already built a mountain of corpses at her feet. The truth is, she's the final boss of this world as the game progresses. She and the protagonist keep fighting while his sanity crumbles. That's when the existence, latent gray demon devours her body. Man, whether she's demonized or just in good health, she's still terrifying. While he's lost in thought, she suddenly asks him if he needs a doctor. His face looks quite pale. A little out of it, he mumbles that he's fine. So she apologizes for prying and explains that her kingdom wants to show they are friendly people. That's why they put her in his carriage to show that they mingle. They mingle with others. As she speaks, he feels a bit dazed. She's very different from how he remembers her in the story. In the game, she was described as extremely meritocratic, a perfectionist, and bold. So why does she seem a bit soft now? Elnor asks why he's not answering. She's curious about something. Still a bit stiff, he says it's nothing. He's just impressed by how kind she is. She gets up immediately. Who's been bad-mouthing me? Ah, crap, I shouldn't have said that. Trying to fix his mistake, he says he heard she was a bit strict. Elnor gives him a look. You're a bit weird. He just sighs. Yeah, I get that a lot. Once again, he reminds himself to act like an extra and not get involved with this person. The plan now is simple. Just stare at the trees outside until they reach the academy and never speak to her again. But just then, a rock flies towards the window. It's about to hit him right in the head. In that instant, he dives towards Elnor and the train explodes. In the midst of it all, the necklace Elnor is wearing has a recognition-based protection spell, something our protagonist knows very well. The best option for survival. A nice warm hug. I'm sorry about this, he thinks, but he wasn't going to survive with F-rank stats. A while later, Elnor asks if he's okay. He says yes, while lying on something very soft. When he opens his eyes, she's looking down at him as if she doesn't care too much. The idiot shoots up, about to apologize, but Elnor obviously assumes he was trying to save her. She says she's never seen such a genuinely honest man as him. She thanks him for his intentions, so there's no need to apologize. Our boy is completely bewildered, because honestly, he only jumped on her to use her armor's protection. But now she's misunderstood everything. She stands up and asks for his name, and now he knows he's screwed. If he tells her every time they meet, they'll end up interacting. Avoiding her would be impossible. But at the same time, there's no way to fool such a sharp woman. So he just sighs and says it. Daud Campbell, the idiot. That damn woman smiles. I'll never forget this. Someday I'll return this favor. With that, he has officially caught the interest of a noble, and the conditions for a special event have been triggered. He receives 2 gifts, Desperate Survivor and Deadly Charm. Sometime later, several carriages approach the site of the explosion trying to figure out why a train bound for Elefante was destroyed. At least, the medics arrived quickly, so the casualties were minimal. Those who received treatment were already being transported directly to the academy. A while later, on the way, our boy notices his little gift. It turns out he had the fateful attraction, or rather, the deadly attraction, which of course, it kept getting translated differently, But basically, he needed to make evil people interested in him. When that happened, he would receive new rewards. Now it all makes sense. Since he arrived, there was no way to find out what his special talent was. Everyone in the village of Campbell was kind, so there was no way for it to activate. Now I get it. This was his natural talent. By gaining Elnor's interest, he received Desperate Survivor. Basically, the closer he is to dying, the more his stats increase. On top of that, Deadly Charm makes it easier for dangerous people to get interested in him, and the more intense the situation, the stronger the effect. Desperate Survivor seems like a perfect skill for staying alive in battle. On the other hand, Deadly Charm doesn't seem very healthy to have. He knows exactly who the most dangerous people in this place are and who are most likely to take an interest in him. Poor is a knight who lives for battle, the sword goddess who cuts down anyone who comes within 3 steps of her, a violent assassin who kills anyone as long as she's paid the right price, and a prodigy mage who blows up anything without a second thought. Each of these monsters is a nightmare to face, but he reminds himself that the most important thing is to get skills to survive. The weird thing, though, is that his talent shows up with question marks where its rank should be, which means it's either something amazing or completely useless. A nearby doctor notices the boy muttering to himself and asks if he's okay, and just then they arrive at the academy. He enters the Great Hall where they give the typical welcome speeches for new students, wishing them a good year. But his mind is still stuck on the conversation he just had with the guy from the carriage. The guy asked him if he was really on the same train as Princess Elnor. As soon as our boy said yes, the man warned him. He also came from an unknown family and needed to understand that it was no coincidence that the rock had hit exactly where they were sitting. Elnor's family has countless enemies, and if he stays too close to her, he'll end up becoming a target for the other nobles too. Our boy simply nods, saying he'll keep it in mind, but he already knows. The system already told him another event will involve her, and since he'll die if he doesn't follow the system's instructions, he doesn't have much of a choice. Besides, backstabbing is a normal thing in this academy. It's no wonder this woman ended up being the final boss. Just then, 3 guys show up and ask him what the hell this country bumpkin is thinking. A peasant like him must be completely lost in such a big place. While he's lost in thought, everyone else has already paired up for the first test. Now, the idiot has no choice but to train with whoever is left. And he knows that whoever is left must be incredibly strong, and damn it, she unfortunately is. Either way, the poor guy is about to get his butt kicked. Her name is Elia Crixanex. She's the greatest genius in this world. With a bright smile, she asks if he needs a hand. Still a little stunned, he says yes, of course. But deep down, he knows. This damn woman is destined to become the savior of the world. The truth is, she's the SR protagonist. There she is, looking stunning, reaching out her hand to help the guy up. Yeah, and these chapter opening images are just beautiful. Thank you, artist. Meanwhile, in another room, someone mentions that Count Crichton and Galantir have also arrived. A girl with glasses wonders if that person has lost her mind. The duels are already underway. How does she have the nerve to be late? And that's when the beast walks in, bloody and magnificent. The girl with the glasses wants to ask her a million questions, but first, where the hell were you? Elnor simply replies that she had some business to take care of. The woman with glasses tells the others to get out. She needs to have a private conversation with her. A little later, she asks how many people died. Elnor nonchalantly replies, not too many, only about 12. They were people trying to kill her and had the audacity to attack again, even after the train accident. The woman sighs, saying she should have let the school handle the matter, but Elnor finds that incredibly boring. She wasn't about to do something so tedious as letting other people kill the ones who tried to kill her. The headmistress tells her to go get ready and head to the duel. If she hurries, she'll get a chance to see him and Crixus fight against some guy named Daud Campbell, whom she's never heard of. Elnor finds that strange weird. After all, that guy didn't seem like someone who would stand out, but with her luscious lips, she smirks, thinking, he's a little different, isn't he? Meanwhile, our boy is trembling in the middle of the arena, with the entire crowd calling him a hick. He knows his stats are absolute trash. If he takes a single hit, he's dead. In theory, however, he should have a slight advantage. He now has that talent that activates when he's in mortal danger. The more dangerous the moment, the more his stats increase. He's also aware that there must be a bunch of villains watching him right now. So, if he at least doesn't die, he might catch some interest. Maybe if he plays his cards right, this situation could be beneficial. But then, Elia, with a strange expression, calls out his name. She tells him to be honest, she already knows. He looks incredibly weak. He stammers, but she just nods. Now, I'm sure I was planning on beating you up, but now I'm starting to feel sorry for you. The guy is speechless. Why the hell was he going to get beaten up for no reason? Now, Elia explains, it's because she knows he was with Elnor and she hates that woman. Not just her. She hates the entire Tristan house. They're a bunch of demons. Our boy realizes, damn, this Elia is really bold to say something like that in front of everyone, but he understands where her hatred comes from. It's all related to the story's drama involving her family. He tries to explain to her that he just got unlucky and ended up in the same place as Elnor, but Elia doesn't care, because just looking at him reminds her of that woman, and that pisses her off. So she makes a tempting offer. She asks if he's interested in faking the match. The protagonist knows this would be a great option. The problem is that if he fakes the fight, he won't improve his skills at all. He won't find out what his talent really does. The only way to stand out is by surviving against her at her full strength. So that's exactly what he asks her to do. And to make her even angrier, he adds, actually, I really like Elnor. Elia immediately tenses up, gripping her sword. She's not sure if he's being serious, and since making her fight for real is his only option, he insists, I'm serious. I like her as much as you hate her. At that moment, Deadly Charm activates, and now all the villains watching him are even more interested. And it seems he just received another little gift. Ilya grits her teeth. If that's the case, I won't feel bad about what I'm about to do. In an instant, she's right in front of him. On the first strike, his wooden sword is completely destroyed. She smirks, well, at least you dodged it. I guess you're not completely useless. She takes a step forward, preparing her sword to strike. Now I'll get a little more serious. In that life or death moment, Desperate Survivor activates, his strength skyrockets to EX rank, and he punches her in the face. And then he remembers EX rank was the highest level in the game, and Elia goes flying straight into the wall. The arena wall explodes! And everyone, including him, stares in shock. Elnor is right there watching everything. And even though all his stats are F rank, on his first day, Daud Campbell just destroyed the world's protagonist. Man, I really hope that girl isn't dead, because her face is embedded in the ground. A while later, in a meeting, someone mentions there's a high chance that kid is a fraud. What he did makes no sense. Everyone knows his stats are low. His abilities were checked before the duel, but that attack was definitely real. The woman with glasses asks, what do you mean by that? The scarred man replies, no one in all of Fonte could take a hit like that and walk away unscathed. He believes the boy must have used some kind of illegal substance or a forbidden method to defeat Elia. Of course, there's also another possibility, but it's a rather strange one. Maybe he's actually a monstrous genius capable of hiding his true power. The girl with the monocle adds, still, it's going to be really difficult to accept this victory. After all, Margrave Kendred, the man who sponsors Elia, isn't just going to stand by and accept something like this. Losing Elia and her biggest sponsor would be a disaster for the Academy. So they need to expose the kid as a fraud as soon as possible and see how things play out. The man in green doesn't quite understand what she expects them to do. She explains, every year, many interesting students are admitted. Since this boy is drawing so much attention, he'll soon be forced to act again, and when that happens, they'll know for sure if he's a fraud or not. Meanwhile, his face is already in all the newspapers. Everyone is asking, who the hell is Daud Campbell? Our guy can't believe this happened on his first day. He never imagined that damn talent would make such a difference. And then a new profile appears on his gift list. Obviously, our dear Elnora Elenaris El Tristan, her trust level has just gone up to level 2. which means he can claim another little gift. On top of that, while sitting in his chair, he notices something. The curiosity of several characters keeps increasing. He realizes there's a pattern. It starts with curiosity, and then it moves to interest, and finally to trust. And these points can be used in the shop. What he doesn't understand is why the final boss, who shouldn't care about him, is the most interested of all. Then, he receives a technique from the Tristan family's swordsmanship style. The only problem is that family is deeply involved with demons, but for him, who just wants to survive, that doesn't matter at all. What really confuses him, however, is Aaliyah Chris Annex. She's not an evil person, so why does he have a profile card of her too? Her curiosity level is already at level 4, but he still can't claim any rewards. He knows she's not a villainess, she's not a bad person, and she doesn't even matter to him. So why is her card even there? Just then, someone knocks on his door. Is this Daud Campbell's room? He recognizes that familiar voice. Outside, the person announces, "I'm Eliam. Let me in." Instantly, the boy starts to tremble. His plan? Stay completely silent, hold his breath, maybe she'll go away, but man, the poor girl is outside with a neck brace and her face covered in bandages. She suffered. She sighs. "I know you're in there. If you don't answer, I'll break down the door in a few seconds." He panics and yells, "You're crazy!" Now that he knows she's there, she tells him to open up because she has something to tell him. He hesitates. What the hell does she want now? And then, whole, healed, and smiling, she says, "Maybe we should get to know each other a little better." This is the first time the protagonist hits a girl so hard she falls for him. Welcome to the red pill world, I guess. A while later, she storms out of his room. "You should have just accepted it. You're too stiff." It seems she tried to be friendly, but her maid dragged her away while she grumbles, wondering how the hell to befriend a guy. Someone walks past her and just then, a bag falls to the ground. She kneels to pick it up, and the other person tells her, "You should be more careful where you walk." Damn it. It's Elnor, dripping with elegance. He looks at her sideways. "Are you hurt?" The moment Elia sees his face, a memory flashes in her mind. A voice. "Brother, run!" In front of a burning wasteland, a man stands with a sword, and Elia trembles, not from fear, but from rage. Her instincts make her grab her sword without even thinking. The problem is, she's not sure she can kill Elnor at her current level, but Elnor just stands there, beautiful, unfazed, extending his giant hand. 11. Get up at once. Elia finds it strange. She's sure Elnor saw her reaching for her sword, so why isn't he reacting? And then he mutters, "Give it back to me." Ah, now I get it. The bag actually belonged to Elnor and now she's just returning it. But at the same time, she wants to know, do you really have something to do with Daud? Then Elnor gives her some very specific directions. Just go to the end of the hall, turn left, and you'll find Daud's room. Daud. Immediately, Elnor squints his eyes. "How do you know where Daud's room is?" Elia, looking incredibly uncomfortable, says, "I was just with him." Oh god, this is about to get messy. Elnor asks, "And what exactly was your reason for being with him?" Elia, getting more and more uncomfortable, says, "It's just rookie stuff. You know, getting to know each other." But Elnor just smiles and reminds her, new students aren't allowed to interact with the opposite sex. Elia's about to say she's never heard that rule, when Elnor casually informs her, "I just made it up." So from now on, she'd better understand that she's no longer allowed in that room. Elia doesn't seem too worried. She just wants to know what kind of relationship they have, but Elnor simply turns around and says, "I have nothing to do with that guy." She just needs to learn not to go to his room anymore. But Elia remembers something. The moment he said, "I like Elnor as much as you hate her," she knows something is going on between those two, and even if it's just to gather information, she'll have to keep getting closer to him. Now our boy is heading to the class placement exam. It's an extremely meticulous and important test at this academy. The students are divided into groups after their one-on-one duels, and since he defeated Elia, he ended up in the strongest group. Everyone there looks proud and confident, while he's just standing there absolutely horrified. And the biggest problem is this girl who won't leave his side. He's been trying to get rid of her since yesterday. But now she's in the same group as him, which only makes things worse. Not to mention her interest in him keeps growing, which honestly is terrifying. He suddenly remembers someone left a bunch of bread rolls in front of his room, wishing him luck on the exam. He has no idea if it was her or some other lunatic, but either way, things aren't looking good for our boy. At least this exam is part of the story, so things shouldn't deviate too much from the script. But his system notification about Elnor indicates that an event is about to happen. Elnor, as healthy as ever, shows up announcing that she'll be in charge of supervising them during the exam. 1. Our boy already knows. If she's in charge, there's no way something isn't going to happen. 2. The teachers are gathered, eager to see how the guy who defeated the heroine will perform. 3. Elnor tells them to hurry up. She'll guide them to the exam area. 4. Some staff members are impressed, commenting that the students are working harder this year. The students walk down a dimly lit hallway. Elia immediately asks, "Is this part of the test?" But our boy, he knows exactly what this is. The entrance has been sealed. The power has been cut. And just then, Elnor's event activates and Daud knows it. This isn't a test. It's an ambush. His system notification confirms it. Another assassination attempt is on its way. He watches silently as the other students chat nonchalantly, assuming someone will come to rescue them soon. But Daud starts to analyze every person in this hallway is part of the main protagonist's group. This is the event that brings them together and makes them follow the story together. Everyone here is important for the final plot. He steps forward and points to a map. I think it would be best to head to the central hall. It has more space, so we can get a better look at the area. At least that place has equipment, some supplies. And if we get ambushed, it's better than being trapped in this narrow hallway. A girl in nun's robes raises an eyebrow. Why are you suddenly talking about an ambush? But our boy just shrugs. The student council president and Elia must have already realized we're not alone in here. He starts walking. She stops him. Where are you going? He just says it's necessary, but she frowns. The direction you're heading is the complete opposite of the central hall. Our boy, looking hesitant, knows he can't reveal the truth, but this is extremely important, and he'll explain later. His plan: send everyone to the central hall and stay behind alone so he won't be the target, because the real target is that crazy woman. As long as they can handle it and he stays alive, everything will be fine. Now they've advanced through the hallways, and he feels relieved. The plan apparently worked. Punching Ellie against a wall gave him some credibility. Now all he has to do is wait for the event to end, let them handle everything, and stay completely out of it. However, just then, someone speaks to him. A man says he's there to fix the blackout and asks him to guide him. Unfortunately, his vision isn't very good in the dark. Immediately, the system notifies him that a dangerous situation has been detected. Meanwhile, in another area, Freya asks if Daud will really be okay alone. Maybe something bad could happen. What they aren't noticing is that there's a bunch of assassins right above them. Elia comments that he probably has a plan, but they should still be careful. Obviously, our dear Elnor has already noticed that something is very wrong. The weirdo is thinking that he's certain that group must have been killed by the evil woman. Even that idiot who seemed to have potential was easily fooled. A professional assassin like him can sense a person's level. Just by watching his movements and knows our boy is a complete amateur, he's gonna have a little fun before killing him and then taking out Miss Tristan. At that moment, the guy calls out to our boy, who looks back. Then he praises him, saying he did a great job and it was time to be rewarded. Our boy takes a look and thanks him, saying that at least it's Hamoud. Hamoud, the guy, is terrified to see that the scumbag knows his name. And the protagonist just says he's happy, because if it were someone stronger, he'd really be in danger. Phew! He's quite relieved to know it's someone so weak, but he had already noticed it from the weird way he walks. The guy finds all this weird, not understanding what this crazy dude is saying. However, our boy is just thinking that with survival of the desperate, it won't be that difficult. Hamoud decides to attack as fast as possible and end it before things get complicated. Our boy was getting ready, while in the other rooms, guys were being thrown against the wall, getting hit by a shower of arrows. Another was sent flying. The guy was getting beaten up from all sides. It's no surprise this is the protagonist's group. Elia orders Palkas to freeze those guys, while wondering where Elnor is. She's looking all imposing, striking with her blade and throwing 4 useless guys against the wall. The poor guys don't stand a chance and are already spitting up everything in their stomachs. In an instant, she grabs the first one and orders him to say immediately who sent them. Meanwhile, the mage was freezing the rest of them at that moment. They discover it was some guy named Jamet from the Crescent Moon. Elnor wants to know if he's also in that place, but the guy says he won't reveal it. She steps on him, and even though some say a woman's stomp doesn't hurt, I think that one really hurt. Wow. His head is about to crack, and she warns him that he'd better say it at once. So the guy confesses that yes, he came with them, but he was in another area. Elia tells her she's going too far, but Elnor replies that whoever tries to kill her will suffer the same fate. Hammett. Hammett is a specialized assassin, and right now, there's only one person who is an easy target for him. In that instant, Elia and the others come to the conclusion that Daud went out alone to lure the strongest person to him. Elia wants to know what the relationship between the two is, and Elnor tells her once again that there is none. The truth is, she doesn't know him well enough. It's not enough. You mean you want to get to know him more? Huh, you little rascal. Meanwhile, the assassin is telling himself that he's a professional. He had set up a perfect barrier. So why was this happening? Obviously, he was getting beaten up by our boy, who had his little survival talent activated, not to mention he also already had the sword technique that he received from Elnor, so the kid is no longer useless. Our boy is impressed with his own skill, and the assassin realizes he's using the Tristan sword technique. He shouldn't have tried to mess with this brat. The bandit then says that he realizes he fell into a trap by attacking the kid, but he wants to know who he is. The truth is that the deadly charm was activated, and now the villain is impressed with the boy's skills and has become interested in him. Our boy says nothing, and the man simply replies, "I'm sure someone as cool and ruthless as you will want to kill me, so go ahead, finish me off." Daud just takes the opportunity to tell him he's not going to kill him, but he has to tell everyone to stop attacking Elnor. What he wants to avoid now is her activating that gray demon power and losing control. If he can stop the constant attacks on her, maybe that can prevent it. But the assassin asks, What if I come back later and try to attack again? Daud walks away with all the style in the world. If you try to kill her, you'll have to go through me first. The man asks, is that woman really so important? And Daud replies, yes. Right at that moment, deadly charm activates. Our boy doesn't realize it, but the beautiful threat was right behind him and heard everything he said. Her favorability level skyrocketed. He turns around completely confused. Man, her favorability keeps going up. At least 15 notifications have popped up. Meanwhile, in another part of the academy, the headmistress is banging her head on her desk, frustrated. Everything is a disaster. She knows the chancellor is furious, but locating this organization immediately is impossible. She tells Elnor, you need to understand, this place is a mess right now, especially now that it's confirmed there's some kind of spy infiltrated. The headmistress comments, you seem very determined to stay here, considering you just arrived, and they've already tried to kill you 3 times. And you need to start being even more careful, because this incident was different. This time, they sent a professional assassin, and things are only going to get worse. On top of that, she found it strange that everyone who survived this event received honors, except for Daud Campbell, who disappeared immediately as soon as everything was over. The headmistress has already noticed. He is actively trying not to draw attention, and she doesn't understand why Elnor is sighing. I don't get it either. She said it 3 times already, which makes the headmistress finally snap. Stops saying that and throws something at her. Let's thank the headmistress, because by throwing that object, she made Elnor raise her arm, and she looked awesome doing it. Elnor apologizes. I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. It's just that there's someone I'm interested in. The headmistress is completely confused. What the hell are you talking about? Elnor just smiles. You just said his name. The room falls completely silent and then the woman stares at her. You can't be serious. You like that weird hick? She warns Elnor that she should be careful, because if Archduke Tristan found out about something like this, he wouldn't be happy at all. Elnor brushes it off. It's not like that, I don't have that kind of interest in him. The headmistress relaxes. Good, just be careful. Usually when it comes to men, you're more cautious. Elnor reacts. You're right, I'll have to test him. For now, I'll watch him very closely. At that moment, our boy receives his class placement exam results. Unfortunately, it says his class has not been decided yet. They are still calculating his results, which is a possible sign, because it means they are thinking too much about him, and all he wanted was to be thrown into any random class and forgotten. What he does suspect, however, is that he might end up in the special class where the heroic protagonists are. They are delaying his assignment and, in a way, excluding him, which is also weird. Then he completes his first mission and his information is updated. His new mission, resolve the incidents that will occur during the freshman reception. He knows that it's during this event that the students' classes are determined. Obviously, there are the usual ones, archers, mages, priests, etc., but his focus is to exploit his strength to the fullest and get a class related to that. On the other hand, both the final boss, Elnor, and Elia are involved in this event. He is completely sure that something he doesn't want is going to happen again. Then, he receives a reward for deepening his connection with Elnor. He can copy one of her skills, but he's not stupid. He knows this is not the right time to use something like that, because even though she is currently the strongest in the academy, she is going to become even more powerful. And only then will it be worth it to use his duplication ability to steal a much more powerful talent. Night falls and he sneaks out of the academy to visit an abandoned house. Of course, he is equipped with tons of stealth items, so he can't be detected. In the game, this place was perfect for farming treasures. He jumps the wall, then he enters the place and heads towards an area full of stacked items. There are countless things here, but one is extremely important. An incense burner with 1,000 years of stored power. He grabs it, I got what I needed. But just then, the entire floor begins to shake. The poor guy realizes this was too easy and now he is about to be buried alive. Funnily enough, after the smoke clears, he is holding a girl in his arms. Her name is Yuria, and the moment he sees her, he recognizes her immediately. He knows that this crazy girl is the boss of the second chapter, known as the Goddess of the Cursed Sword. That item he took out actually belonged to her, but he did not expect her to be right there. She immediately pulls away from his arms, and the system warns him that his life is in danger. Her X-rank strength activates, and she lunges at him with a chain attack. He barely manages to dodge it. As always, a dangerous girl with thick thighs. Our boy tries to dodge, but at the same time she is throwing small swords at him. He knows that against a woman like this, it is life or death with no chance of winning. He pleads with her to understand that this is all a misunderstanding, that he was not trying to do anything to her while she was sleeping. Each of her attacks makes his entire body shake. Even with his talent activated, she swings her chain again. He jumps, narrowly escaping, but then, full of style, she spins like a breakdancer and throws a dagger straight at him. Our boy freezes, the blade gets right in front of him, but suddenly, the attack vanishes. 3.5 steps, that is the maximum distance she can fight at. That is the curse and the mechanism behind her abilities. The girl very politely asks him to take just 1 step forward, but he asks, "You are going to kill me, right?" "Yes," she nods. Yeah, and she is impressed that this bastard already seems to know her talent. Our boy gets an idea. He knows she is isolated here. They do not even bring her food. So he asks, "Or by any chance, do you want a high recovery cookie?" She scoffs, "I am not going to fall for such a stupid trick." It is not like she is that hungry. But the moment he throws the cookie, she catches it because she had spent the whole night starving. A while later, she mutters, "I realize now that was a mistake." Our boy sighs in relief. It seems he is not going to die today. She asks why he is there. He knows he cannot tell the truth, so he lies. He says he was sent to feed her, that he received instructions from someone else to take care of her. She asks, "Is it someone you know?" He nods, Yes, and strangely, since he knows everything about this world, he adds naturally, "Do not worry, your sister is fine in the Holy Empire. The Emperor will not bother you two for a while. So you do not have to keep hiding like this." And Yuria is from the Holy Empire and is hiding here at the Elefante Academy because she fled from the Emperor of her homeland. The sword she wields is considered a cursed weapon, which is why she has the curse of the 3 steps. She had to escape, which is why our boy tries to give her information that her sister is safe, because despite everything she has been through, she at least deserves some peace. Then we see a group of students on top of a mountain. Someone points out, "That is the academy down there, that is the Arcana Constitution." A short blonde girl says, "Soon we will have to choose our faculties." Daud knows, this is the part of the game where you get the most information about the world, but he can skip it all, since he already knows everything. A boy asks Ophelia what that empty area over there on the horizon is. You can see a city covered by a dome, and she explains that it is an extremely restricted area. Anyone who entered would be punished. Daud knows that place is what's left of the war between heaven and hell, a place where God's messengers and heroes sealed away the demons. This happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, but the energies of light and darkness are still clashing, with the obvious risk that darkness will eventually prevail. The Imperial Alliance created the Sacred Triangle to watch over it. The triangle consists of numerous academies, one of them being Elefante. The red-haired boy then asks Ophelia if they can get closer. She says that as long as they stay within the protective barrier of Seraphis, there's no danger. Daud, on the other hand, thinks this is the perfect opportunity for them to sneak away and cause some trouble. The angels who resided beyond the heavens and mountains created this barrier along with Seraphis. Now the students are standing there, observing the barrier up close with stunned expressions. Daud then asks if he can eat a little bit away from the others because he feels uncomfortable. She understands he's the boy suffering from all the unwanted attention and allows it as long as he doesn't go too far. The other boys don't like that. They mutter that this arrogant country bumpkin is getting a big head just because he's gained some attention. But our boy has already lit his incense using unicorn horn powder and a phoenix feather. Where the hell did he get that? Who knows? Maybe it was already in there, but with that, he has prepared the most powerful censer, which is basically just a fancy incense burner. The magic began to activate, and he prayed he hadn't forgotten anything. At that moment, some silhouettes appeared, and he covered his eyes. He knew this was something ordinary people would never experience. A huge explosion of light erupted in front of him, and he heard voices discussing the Allied forces. A man was telling a recruit, "Keep the ground level. Stop digging senselessly." Then he saw them, angels. They looked at each other. "Why is a human here?" "Yeah, man, if this angel shows up, I'll be happy." They kept wondering why that boy was just standing there, staring at them. The commander brushed it off, telling the others to get back to work, and our boy had just opened a small portal and was observing everything. Then a horn sounded and a vehicle arrived, transporting the sacred blocks, an infinite amount of them, so that the construction wouldn't stop. The blonde angel yelled at another worker, "Stop eating cloud cookies and get back to work." Meanwhile, our boy just watched as the bald angel kept yelling at everyone. I have no idea what's going on, but what I do know is that the sacred blocks are being delivered, and our other angel is just watching it all unfold. Daud knew that the angels in this place were almost like a military force. They had a strict hierarchy where those at the top, obviously, had the most authority. In the original story, you could only encounter angels after Chapter 2, and only after interacting with some of the high-ranking ones, and they were very clear about what they wanted, as it was something basic and straightforward. Our boy laid out his food, murmuring an itadakimasu. While he ate, he heard some of the angels talking. "Why does he have so much food?" one angel suggested. "Maybe we should ask him for a piece," but another immediately shot down the idea. "That's crazy! We can't come down just for food. We have to keep moving the blocks." Daud, on the other hand, smiled. "Are you sure? Working in construction is exhausting. You should take a break and enjoy some food." And funnily enough, the moment he said that an offering quest was activated and food appeared in the hands of the angels, everyone smiled. A 10-minute break would not be bad. They thanked him, saying, "You are a very considerate human." Daud remembered it was the same in the game if you offered enough food. to someone, it would multiply upon reaching their realm and become enough for everyone. A while later, the angels were sitting there, muttering, "That was delicious. Totally worth it." The bald angel notices the censor at his side and says, "Just say what you want already." Our protagonist is impressed that the guy got straight to the point and does not even seem interested in negotiating. He had prepared numerous techniques to convince these guys, so he finds it strange that it is so easy. The bald angel then says that he is sure that the boy must be wondering why they are treating him like this. He explains that the boy is well-informed and possesses an incredible ability, but it is severely underdeveloped. The angel knows he will get benefits by investing in him, and that is the only reason why he is helping him. Now, everything makes sense to Daud, because this guy is interested in him. What he does not know is which specific skill the angel is mentioning. Maybe it is the one that makes him loved by evil. The angel then says, "The ability you possess is much more powerful than you imagine. It will allow you to be on top of everything." Of course the problem is surviving with all the attention he is attracting. Given this situation, Daud knows he will have to think of another route. He never expected the negotiation to be so easy or that these guys would have such high expectations of him. Another angel comments, "It is rare to see someone so calm and strategic when negotiating with an angel. You really have potential." The bald angel shrugs, "I will just give you my blessing and send you back." Our boy still has not fully processed what just happened, but the guy just leaves, saying that Daud should already feel impressed to have been recognized by them. With that, the portal disappears, and Daud is left feeling uneasy. Even the angels told him to be careful with his own talent. Now, his C+ rank divine censor has been blessed with 2 skills: asceticism, which allows him to convert all other attributes into constitution for 20 seconds and protective shield, a C-rank skill that allows him to create a sword. No, wait, obviously a barrier. The combination of his enhancement of status in life or death situations with this ability to convert everything into defense will be extremely useful for surviving. The only problem is that these talents require a small amount of mana that he does not have. For now, he will have to find a temporary solution, which is why he is standing in front of a man who asks him, "What is your specialty?" He seems to be alone in front of a store. The man informs him, "You need to be in a pair first," to which Daud replies, "My partner will be here soon." The guy does not believe him. "A loser like you, there is no way you have a partner." But our boy already knows she's on her way. And right at that moment, he shows up looking like a complete dork, as if he hadn't come here intentionally. Daud greets her nonchalantly, already planning to team up. At first, he didn't want to get involved with the protagonist, but he's changed his mind, especially after what the angel said about the grave danger he's in because of his talent. So he asks, "Are you still interested in getting to know me better, just like you mentioned before?" Poor Elia, she's a bit flustered, not knowing how to answer, but then she remembers everything, every time he kept saying how much he liked Elnor, and she comes to a conclusion. This bastard is just trying to get close to her to make Elnor jealous. What a fool! The scene changes to the Academy's dungeons. Someone asks Daud, "Are you sure about this, huh?" He nods. "Yeah, I know she wanted to be my friend too, so why is she acting like this now? Obviously she's suspicious." Suddenly, he tells her to look in a certain direction because 3 beasts were coming. A wolf lunges, but a single swift slash from her sword splits it in half. He warns her, 2 more from above. And so they advance through the dungeon, working like a perfect team. All he has to do is point in the direction and she handles everything with ease. Until she finally tells him to stop giving orders and start fighting too, but he ignores her completely and says there are 2 daggers coming at her from the left and right. In that same instant, the attack happens and she manages to block it. Then he warns about incoming arrows and a monster's strike. Once again, she reacts in time and blocks them. So she tells him if he can predict everything so easily, he clearly needs to use his strength to help. The problem is, Daud can't do anything unless his life is in danger. Since these are monsters, artificial, they aren't programmed to kill students, which means his talent doesn't detect any real danger. He realizes he really needs to improve his stats for situations like this. Suddenly, Elia lunges towards him For a moment, he thinks she's about to cut him down, but instead she cuts off the head of a monster that was right behind him. He just stands there watching her, looking incredibly cool. Damn, she's so smooth. Out of nowhere, confetti bursts into the air. Someone announces, "Congratulations, you broke the record." She's surprised, she fought alone, and still completed the test faster than the other pairs. Daud shrugs, "Maybe we just got lucky." But the truth is that our boy obviously chose the shortest and stealthiest route. Elia starts to get seriously annoyed with this bastard. A little witch had been watching them the whole time. Her name was Percy, and she was the magic instructor here. She comments, "Next year we'll have to improve these fake fights." It was too easy. A nearby director nods, "Understood, but something feels off." It's strange how much this kid knows about everything. Everyone assumes the Academy's focus is on Aaliyah, but the green-haired man, as always, is suspicious of Daud. Percy finds it strange. Why did that boy catch your attention? Clearly, Elia was the one who did everything. But the man shakes his head. She never would have broken that record on her own. Anyone with combat experience can see it. She was actively fighting, but he was the key to everything. It's obvious. He was giving her perfect orders at the right moment and making flawless decisions. So far, every single one of his judgments has been accurate. Not only is he highly calculating, but it's as if he's been through this place countless times before. Then he turns to Percy, "Let's make a bet." At that moment, someone contacts them both, saying they've taken an interest in the pair. The man explains, he made a bet with Percy. He's sure that they'll break this year's record. If they succeed, they can ask her for anything, but if not, it doesn't matter because what they've already done is impressive enough. Obviously, Daud accepts instantly, and Percy gets angry at how confident this kid looks. Meanwhile, the headmistress with glasses tells someone, "I know you're stressed, but you shouldn't be here all the time because right now, Elnor is slumped on the floor after training." She mutters, "I'm trying to remember something." She remembers some old movies that her mother used to talk about when she was a child, about a demon that lived in the blood of the Tristans. That was what brewed the inhuman power they possessed. But of course, the price was that they would gradually lose their sanity, which is why most of the successful people in her family eventually go mad at the end of their lives. The headmistress asks, "Why are you thinking about that?" Elnor simply replies, "It's nothing." The woman sighs, "I'll tell you something interesting. I just found out right now. Daud Campbell is undergoing a test with the hero candidate." Man, the artist went all out with this scene of Elnor. She narrows her eyes. Who is this hero candidate? The woman replies, "Elia Crixanax. Elnor can't believe it." Those two together. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and mutters, "I'm on my way." Back in the dungeon, Elia is questioning Daud. "What's your plan?" She knows he's skilled, but his confidence is getting ridiculous. Daud knows the weak points of every single one of these monsters, how they work, but he can't reveal that yet, so he just smiles. "I'm sure everything will be fine because you're here with me." The girl blushed a little, but muttered that she wasn't going to fall for that nonsense. Then, the red-haired guy suggested, "Or you can increase the difficulty to earn more points if you want." Daud replied immediately, "I want the highest difficulty possible." Percy was losing his mind. "That's impossible!" But he just shrugged. It's worth a try. Obviously, she was not happy about this at all. One of the guys next to her chimed in, "Now that you've started, you can't stop." Meanwhile, Percy took a sip of his tea. "Fine, but you should know at this difficulty you'll be in real danger." Since the voice broadcast was active, Elia heard everything and was starting to get nervous, but the green-haired man reassured them, even if things get dangerous. All we have to do is rescue the students. Then he announced, "Massacre mode has been activated. Now test your strength." Elia obviously isn't very happy about this, but she just goes along with it. Percy is eager to see them fail, and that buddy over there is crying. I still don't know who that crazy guy is. However, things have changed for our dear protagonist, as the creatures are now aggressive and can cause damage. Danger is detected. Since this guy is a total disaster, always on the brink of death, the system automatically puts him at full power. He powers up, prepares an attack with his sword, and one slash takes the big pig's head off. It actually looks more like a rhinoceros. Right away, the green-haired guy says he knew it, the boy was hiding his power. And he and Elise, beautiful and worried, are wondering why Daud always hides his strength like this. But now, our boy is completely focused, ignoring everyone and slaughtering the monsters. Percy, on the other hand, wonders how this is possible, since he seemed like a complete weakling until now. However, the green-haired guy tells her she needs to understand the boy likes to pretend he's weak, but he understands her reaction since he had the same one the first time he saw this happen, and she can be sure that the stronger the monsters are, the stronger he'll become too. Elia is over there throwing some impressive kicks. This girl is really powerful, and now our boy is in Giga Chad mode in the air, destroying everything. I wasn't going to mention that she's fighting again, but since the artist gave her some extra attention, there she is, holding her ground, a truly reliable girl. Man, but she's fighting a giant ant. She calls out to our boy, who jumps into the air shining like a star. He even uses a sword technique from the Tristans called the Boo, and a flurry of attacks hits the giant ant, making it look like it's crumbling. And with that, our dynamic duo, who honestly could be a great couple, manages to break the record right as he killed the giant ant. It was on his back, about to crush him. The boy realized he got distracted, but at that moment, the thing exploded. It was the green-haired guy who praised our hero, saying they're amazing for breaking a record like this. I finally learned the guy's name, because Elia called him Professor Conrad. Conrad thanks her for her efforts, and just as Percy shows up, he immediately says it looks like he won the bet. A while later, Elia is holding a piece of paper because of their performance. They can choose an item from Vision's warehouse, and of course, they can ask Percy for any favor thanks to the stupid bet. She is very happy, and our boy knows this isn't something that just anyone who enters the school can get. At that moment, Elia calls out to him and asks how he always stays so calm. She's noticing that whenever a difficult situation occurs, he always acts as if he already knew. Well, yeah, it's pretty obvious, because the bastard really does know. Before he can answer, she holds out her hand, saying that maybe now they can become closer friends. Our boy, however, doesn't seem very excited about it. Come on, man. Get a little more excited for the waifus. But he still lightly bumps her hand, and you can see on the screen that her curiosity is already at level 5. It was almost reaching the trust level, holding steady. Then, she runs off saying she's excited for tomorrow. Someone next to our boy comments that they're not sure if she's friendly or just weird, and he agrees. That person was our beloved, drawn with great talent and attention. Thank you. And at that moment, she asks him if he likes that rookie. Our boy gets all flustered, caught in that awkward space of not knowing what to say. As always, at least the desperate survival skill wasn't activating. He felt a bit more confident, but finds the question weird. After all, is he her boyfriend or something? And as always, beautifully drawn, oh my god, I never get tired of saying this. She tells him it's not going to happen again. All right, then he'd better just say if he likes the rookie or not. At that moment, danger is detected. Now his life is on the line. Man, he really needs to say something. Hey guys, the artist is doing it again. Damn you, you're really dragging this out, aren't you? Right, there she is, looking stunning, waiting for an answer. While this fool doesn't know what to say, being the idiot that he is, he gathers his strength and says he was training with Elia, but he missed Eleanor. She seems a little confused, saying that's a bit sudden. He has no idea if this will work, but there's no way he can beat her in a fight, so his only option is to appease her. Eleanor smiles and asks if he means he missed her the whole time. He just nods, and now she wants to know why. Oh boy, you're going to have to explain yourself better than that. Our girl looks a bit awkward, not knowing what to say, and fixes her hair, saying it's okay, he can just forget it. She's sure he's acting this way because of that day on the train. Vero tells him not to forget the priority list. Just like us, our boy Daud is completely confused, having no idea what this crazy girl is talking about. Then she hands him a letter, saying she came all this way just to give it to him. This fool wonders if it's a love letter. I highly doubt it, and looking a little shy, she says she was going to give it to him tomorrow, but decided to bring it now. Then she turns around, looking as gorgeous as ever, and tells him to only read it when he's alone. I doubt it's a love letter, it's probably a death threat. And there he is, holding it in his hands, saying he understands. Next scene, he's already saying he shouldn't have opened it. The unexpected, expected happened. She asked him to pretend to be a couple. I don't know what her intentions are, if she wants to protect him or if there's something more, because I'm not sure she's really that in love with our dear Daud for our boy. However, that's not even the biggest problem. All he has to do is spend some time by her side at the welcome party. The problem is the penalty if he refuses the offer. Not only will it change the way she acts towards him, but it will also probably affect her affection level, which will make it harder for him to get new skills. Then someone knocks on the door. He opens it, sure that it's Elia, who immediately comments that he's getting smarter. Damn it, what is this? The other one brought a letter too. This bastard, I want to trade lives with him. Without thinking, he blurts out, oh, another letter like this? Which makes her ask what he means by another. He had already received one before. He quickly says no, he got confused, and asks her what it is. She tells him to think of it as a surprise. Something she decided to do after spending time with him. She has to leave now because of some weird rules from the president, but tells him to read it carefully. Well, before he can say anything, she's already jumping away, reminding him not to forget. Our boy already knows exactly what this is, and so do we. It seems that at this welcome party, all the girls want the guy. Asterisk, asterisk. He opens the letter, hoping it's different, maybe a dual invitation from Elia. The problem is that she mentioned it was a surprise, and obviously it's also an invitation to get closer. The battle between the final boss and the story's protagonist started earlier than expected. The problem is that something like this never happens in the main story, so why is he getting these weird options? If he chooses Elnor, he'll be seen as a villain by the protagonist, but if he chooses Elia, he'll start being hated by Elnor, who might also end up becoming a demon and killing everything. There is the option of rejecting both, which might be safer, but that's also risky. This probably happened because they are still in the interested phase, but still, this is a problem. How is he going to get out of this? That's when he gets a bold idea. Why not accept both? It seems the scene has already changed to the welcome party. Everyone is wondering where the Class C folks are, and someone says they have arrived. In the middle of the luxurious hall, there is our dear Aaliyah. She comments that this place is so packed it looks like a pigsty. She looks at our guy and thanks him for accompanying her. My God, what the hell is up with Daoshi's hairstyle? It looks horrible. The two walk side by side, and the cunning bastard is actually using a cloning skill that cost him 1,000 points. Obviously, it's just a walking clone, a simple one, and guess what it does? It walks and talks. It can't do much more. He spent everything he had, but maybe it will work. The system comments that the guy is bold for trying to date both of them at the same time. To succeed, he just has to avoid being discovered before the party ends. The only thing he must avoid is someone seeing him and his clone in the same place at the same time. While he considers his options, suddenly, a bear in a nearby cage lets out a roar. The caravan passes, ordering everyone to get out of the way. That cunning Dao knows these guys plan to hold an event with that beast, which will eventually break free and cause chaos. All he has to do is take advantage of the situation to escape, eliminate the clone, and stay out of trouble. Plus, he bought a skill called Pheromone, or maybe not actually, that might just be the name of one of his clones. However, according to the system, he's no longer just a boy, which he has no idea what it means. The guy just starts giving off smoke. And right at that moment, Elnor appears, saying that she finally found him. She mentions that she smells something strange and asks if he used some kind of spray. He says no, explaining that he passed by some flowers and the scent must have stuck to him. But damn, this girl is bold. She says directly that whatever it is, it's driving her crazy. Now our guy is desperate to get rid of this damn pheromone smell before things get complicated. However, the system immediately notifies him that the pheromone effect has been applied to the target, Elnor, and now she's struggling to resist getting interested in him. Suddenly, she turns toward him and says it's strange, that she has never noticed before. He's much more masculine than she imagined. The guy is burning up inside. He quickly starts to walk away, saying they should hurry to the event since there are a lot of people there. The only thing he's thinking about is keeping his clone talking while he gets to be alone with Elnor, but the poor girl is just there, breathing heavily, trying to calm down. He just hopes she doesn't do anything crazy. He asks if she wants to eat something, and she says, yes, why not, even if it means getting some boars on a stick. He thinks this is the worst choice, as he's trying to make Elnor like him a little less. She's a woman who cares a lot about her appearance, so something greasy like that should be a total turnoff. However, when this girl wants something, nothing stops her. She excitedly declares that she loves that stuff. So much for his theory, it seems he's still figuring out her tastes. Trying to play it cool and kill the good vibe, he pretends the food tastes awful, but she's only interested in knowing why he keeps eating it if he has better things to do. Now, the guy is starting to get genuinely scared of this woman and just wants to keep his distance. At the very least, he needs to keep some space between him, Nor, and Elia, or things will get complicated. He stops at an accessory stall, and she asks if he wants anything. He says no, but offers to buy her something if she wants. At the same time, he realizes he really shouldn't have said that. It's just going to raise her affection level and make everything even more complicated. Or this guy is a chaos genius, and somehow, he picks the worst possible gift, a loose uniform button. He asks if she wants it, but once again, nothing stops this girl. She's genuinely impressed that he paid so much attention to her uniform that he even noticed she'd lost a button. The poor guy just wants to disappear while she gives him that mischievous smile. A while later, at a table, she asks if he's decided what he wants to study. He says yes, he's going to focus on theology. It's the study of gods, nature, that kind of stuff, you know. But Elnor tells him he should reconsider. With his talent, it would be a waste not to become a knight. However, our guy simply replies that there's something he needs to learn in the theology department. He chose this path for a specific reason. Elnor, leaning over the table, demands to know what it is he wants to learn, and he simply says that to protect the people he cares about, there are certain things he needs to acquire. Elnor wants to know exactly what it is he's trying so hard to protect. Oh man. Our guy is an undercover romantic. What he really wants to protect is his own life and prevent Elnor from becoming a demon. Holy skills would be perfect for his survival and would also allow him to take care of her in the process. Smart move. So he tells her that since childhood there's been someone he wants to protect. Besides, he obviously knows that later in the story there will be an event called the Secret Society. The boss of that chapter is only weak against holy magic, so he needs to prepare. Suddenly, the stunning Elnor asks him if that's the real reason he's getting so involved with her, because she knows the Tristan family curse all too well, just like he does. Our guy confirms that he is, in fact, talking about the curse that drives all the members of her family crazy, and he's sure that the only way to avoid it is through mental training. Elnor's expression turns serious as she asks if he knows the solution. Tristan interrupts her and says he knows about the blessing of the angels. It's a kind of miracle where two archangels must grant their blessing to the same person. Elnor acknowledges that it exists, but it's so difficult to achieve that. Even with all the power that the Tristans have, they have never been able to obtain it. That's why they are still feared. Once again, she demands to know his intentions, why he keeps approaching her knowing all this. This guy is basically confessing at this point. I thought he wanted to keep his distance, but he tells her that what he wants to protect is her. Looking both beautiful and worried, she asks why, and our boy simply says that if he doesn't protect her, she is going to die. That's the truth, and he has no other reason beyond that. She looks a bit puzzled, fixes her hair, and says that from the beginning she knew he was a strange guy. Our boy just replies that he's heard that about himself countless times. With that, he has told her the whole truth. Now, he just hopes it's enough to satisfy her strange curiosity. The scene then shifts to another part of the party. With her saying that this guy is strange, the poor girl walks alongside the clone, wondering why he is talking so little today. She also asks how they ended up in this basement. Meanwhile, she looks back, thinking that she needs to get closer to this guy to learn more about the Tristan family. The problem is that she has no idea how to deal with a man like him. The truth is that she is generally not very good at dealing with men, and that's driving her a little crazy. She doesn't know how to act. Besides, she starts to wonder why this place is filled with caged monsters. She's practically having a monologue here, as the clone doesn't say much. She comments that they are probably experimental creatures from the academy, but it's irresponsible of the teachers to leave so many here with students nearby. She turns to the side and wonders why there are such large monsters in a place like this. She approaches one of the cages and realizes that these beasts aren't even properly secured. It's then that she notices a blinking device right next to the creature. Before she can react, the place explodes. Luckily, Chad the clone saves her. This bastard is flirting with a girl at a table while rescuing another from an explosion. Obviously, both our favorite couple and everyone in the hall are in shock, and oh my god, our boy's back is burned to the bone, but he saved the girl. And now his favorability level is through the roof. Barely holding on, he just murmurs that this is his job. She jumps before she can even think of helping him. The monster is already loose, and of course, they are all high-level creatures. Elia thanks him for protecting her and says that now it's her turn to return the favor. At that moment, the system activates a mission. She must save as many people as possible. Incredible, without hesitation, he runs off, leaving Elnor behind, telling her that he has things to do and to be careful. She asks him where he's going, but he just shouts that he's going to protect the students. Meanwhile, Elia is exhausted, barely able to stand. Our boy dispels the clone and arrives in style, declaring that they'll have to take care of this, but then he notices she's already on the ground with everything around her destroyed. At least she's happy to see he's alive, and in that moment, her status changes from curious to interested. The main scenario has now been altered, however, she reveals that one of the creatures has escaped, and of course, it's the biggest one of all. She warns that it's probably somewhere on the first floor and that they must stop it before more people die. Our protagonist knows that if he doesn't take care of this, he'll receive a major penalty. Right now, the other students are in a panic, face-to-face with the giant beast, its eyes glowing red. A student puts up a barrier, but he knows it won't hold and desperately yells for a professor. With the monster's attack, the entire barrier is already cracking. Elnor announces that neither the Chancellor nor Professor Conrad are here, and what's more, she can't use the angel's blessing. She orders the priest to put up a barrier, but he says it's impossible. A holy barrier isn't something just anyone can create so easily. Besides, all they have to do is wait a little longer. Well, some knights will arrive soon. If a few students die in the meantime, so be it. If she wants to use the Tristan family's power, he knows they aren't good people. Man, why you gotta diss my poor Elnor like that? At least our boy arrives in full-on swag mode, declaring that he'll handle it. Everyone wonders who this madman running straight for the beast is. 1, Elnor is stunned by his bravery. He's not hesitating for a second. 2, in that moment, he activates 2 of the skills he received from the angel. 3, both asceticism and holy shield. 4, at the same time, danger is detected and he's thrown into a life or death situation. 5, all his stats are immediately raised to X rank. The barrier guy asks what the hell he's doing. Our boy says he's buying time, but that they need to get the other students out. With asceticism active, all his stats are converted into defense. The poor guy won't be able to do any damage, but he puts up a holy barrier just in time to block the monster's blow. The professors around immediately recognize it as a holy blessing, and the beast keeps hammering away while our boy holds firm in full defense mode. Elnor is just standing there, frozen, unable to act, probably falling even harder for him. Funnily enough, some guy in the background is rambling that even royal priests need years of training to use something like this. Bro, he's literally using it right now. Why don't you take some notes? And then, weirdly enough, the noble says that after everything that's happened with this guy, he's not even surprised anymore. Watching him get attacked, he realizes that he's already surpassed his expectations so many times. Now, the clueless priest finally notices that our boy didn't just put up any barrier, but one strong enough to hold back that beast. Suddenly, someone tells him to shut up. It's Elia. who smacks him on the head, telling him it took him long enough to notice. Elnor asks where she's been, and Elia explains she was dealing with the monsters in the basement. Unfortunately, she let this one get away because it was too strong, but now she wants to know how the hell Daud is using a blessing like that. As far as she knows, activating something like that requires 10 years of training to become a combat priest. This whole requires 10 years of training thing catches Elnor's attention, and she remembers that our boy had said he had something important to learn in the theology department. The boy's sweet words, saying that if he didn't protect her, she would die. You can tell she's growing fonder of him because now her eyes are rounder, not as sharp and intense as before. Elia comments that even if he's using a stored blessing, there's a limit to how much he can control it, and mentions that Elnor is very lucky. Our Lady wants to know what this crazy girl is talking about, and out of nowhere, the artist gifts us a beautiful panel. Elia explains that she's referring to the fact that Daud is doing all this for her just from seeing the pained expression on the boy's face and the way he intentionally threw himself into the fight against that creature. Everything he has done so far seems to be for that reason. Elnor feels like she's had this feeling from the start. She sees herself standing alone in the darkness, arms crossed, when suddenly a light approaches. I don't know what that light is supposed to represent, but I know she looks awesome as she wipes her sword, thinking that this boy really is different. The beast keeps hitting the barrier, and these professors, these useless onlookers, do absolutely nothing until Elnor finally steps in and lands a solid blow on the monster's head. Not to brag, but damn, she's just standing there, crying in the rain. Poor girl, but hey, she still looks spectacular. And in the fight, she manages to land a clean hit on the back of the creature's head, sending a burst of sparks flying. Man, the impact sends the beast crashing right into the wall. Daud looks completely stunned, and immediately the monster gets back up and lunges at Elnor. Seeing her get ready, he knows this is the true Tristan swordsmanship. The girl unleashes a flurry of thrusts so fast they look like a machine gun, firing straight into the beast's chest. Still looking elegant and composed, she keeps up the relentless assault as the monster writhes in agony until her sword finally nears its neck and she executes a Tramontana. The beast is sent flying once again. There's no way it's still alive this time. Our boy notices that the power she wields is completely different from the one he copied. Something else is wrong. She shouldn't even be involved in this event. The original story didn't unfold like this. With that, the official quest is complete, and since no one died, it was a perfect success. The system even notifies him that the knights will arrive in 30 seconds. The truth is, all the professors who enjoy experimenting on live monsters are also supporters of the Tristans, and the fact that Elnor has gotten involved leaves it clear that her family is somehow responsible for this. Normally, she's not one to get involved in politics, so why did she decide to step in now? Meanwhile, the students are fleeing in a panic with fire and chaos everywhere, while the stunning Elnor just stands there staring at him. Hey, are you okay? How are you feeling? She lets out a deep sigh and says, "It's finally over." But then, from within the flames, the monster, grotesquely deformed, rises again. Daud shouts for her to watch her back, and as she turns, our boy teleports just in time to protect her. Damn, the beast is barely more than a skeleton now, but it still manages to catch him. It seems the boy was already exhausted after blocking that attack. His eyes close. Sometime later, he wakes up in a bed, immediately asking about the monsters. A woman with a monocle tells him to calm down. The creature was eliminated and he is not doing well. That woman is Chancellor Atalanta. She closes her book and asks him if he's surprised that she came to visit him. Then she explains that she was just waiting for the perfect moment, since she hadn't had the chance to meet him properly after the rookie duel. Our protagonist knows that this woman is an immortal who has lived for thousands of years, so what is she doing here? He's already nervous that she might mention the angel's blessing, but she tells him she's here to give him some bad news and some even worse news. He asks to hear the bad news first, saving the worst for last. So she tells him that he's getting more attention than any other student she has ever seen. It seems that every major incident always has him right at the center. And because of that, with her experience, she knows things are only going to get worse for him. The other news is that she now wants to know how much he understands about the demon's future. It seems our boy doesn't react much, and she simply comments how interesting it is that he shows no emotion when she mentions it. Daud then says he's not going to reveal how much he knows until he understands what her intentions are. She asks him what he's talking about, and he mentions the fact that he hasn't been assigned to any class yet, but she just takes a step closer, saying she knows he must be frustrated with the situation. However, thanks to all the chaos he has caused, she has been forced to handle the results very carefully. He should know that society is quite unstable right now. The three forces that control everything are not as calm as they used to be, and all sides are doing what they can to recruit powerful individuals. Daud comments that he is aware of the competition between the three factions. That would be the three forces within that triangular structure, with the academies surrounding what's in the center, built for the whole war between heaven and hell. And, obviously, these three factions are in conflict because each one wants to be the strongest. Atalanta confirms he's right, the triangle is unstable, although some might say they are peaceful neighbors right now underneath this facade of peace. There is an incredibly ruthless competition to determine who will rise to the top. Of course, most students are neither interested in nor aware of any of this. But this very competition is what keeps causing all these incidents and disturbances in the three territories. Daud comments that he's sure all the chaos that has happened so far has attracted even more attention. If they haven't done anything, it means someone is blocking the information from getting out of this place. Atalanta is impressed that he already knows all this, and our boy understands. She's afraid someone might try to kidnap him and use him in one of these other empires. He asks if that's her concern, and she confirms it. After all, if they capture him, the world is over. Strangely, she suddenly has a vision, an illusion of everything being destroyed. She then holds up a sheet of paper and asks him if he recognizes the seal. Dot recognizes it immediately. It's the seal of the purifiers. Atalante is even more surprised. This guy already knows everything. The Purifiers are a secret organization that worships demons and operates from the shadows. Their sole objective is to bring these demons back from hell and destroy the world. Both the assassination attempt on Elnor and the chaos caused at the Academy were their doing, and right now they seem to be actively trying to eliminate the Tristan family. And of course, there's no guarantee they won't try again. Daud wants to know why she's telling him all this, but Atalante simply replies that unfortunately, she can't explain it. However, she hands him something, an interdimensional key or an object that is extremely powerful and can open doors between worlds. She just mentions that, judging by his expression, he must already know what it's for. She promises to watch his progress closely, and if she likes what she sees, she might even give him more gifts. However, she warns him that this conversation must obviously remain a secret, and finally, before leaving, she asks him about his relationship with the warrior candidate and the lady of the Trista family. Our guy freezes for a second. How the hell does this woman know everything? But he simply says they're fine. Atalante smiles and tells him to keep it that way. Now he's worried. Why is it so important? And once again, she tells him that if things don't stay the same, the world will end. Our guy wonders why the world is destined to end no matter what, but Atalante just tells him it's his fault for being involved in all this. She can't say why, but the final plan depends on those three to succeed. A while later, she leaves, and he's just left staring at the dimensional key, wondering if he should just accept the end of the world. In theory, it should be impossible for a player to receive this key so early in the game. Something is wrong. That's when Conrad shows up, saying he finally found him, that he's been eager to have a conversation. Our guy quickly hides the key and asks why. The professor explains that, although he hasn't been assigned to a specific class yet, he still has to attend lessons. He pulls out a letter and tells him that inside are his assignments starting tomorrow. The moment he takes a look at the names, his expression changes. Obviously, he'll be close to Elnor and also our dear Elia. The only thing on his mind is that the end of the world is coming. A while later, In a training hall, someone says, "That's why the sword is considered the best weapon for most situations." The professor goes on and on with sword theory until someone interrupts him. It's Elnor, asking if he isn't focusing too much on theory. She doesn't think this kind of information is actually useful in battle. Obviously, the professor just stands there stunned, completely defeated by his own student. The poor guy had drawn a sword in the air, and now he's just standing there like a fool. And the students start saying that nowadays it's enough to take an arrow to the head or get hit by a magical explosion to die like an idiot, until Ilya steps in, saying that she still believes the professor is right. As long as the swordsman is skilled, they can dodge magic or block an arrow strike. Elnor disagrees, saying that if the terrain disadvantage is too great, the swordsman doesn't stand a chance. The two start arguing while our boy is caught in the middle, terrified of where this is going, and just like that, they're already bumping their foreheads against each other. Elia tells her not to interfere with the professor's lesson, and Elnor replies that as the student council president, she has to make sure the students receive proper information. They keep arguing about theory versus practice, while our boy is just sitting there, wondering if they could continue with the lesson. Now it's clear, this guy is right in the middle of both of them, and, worst of all, because of that, everyone in class is staring at him. But that's inevitable, considering he's sitting between the future warrior and the student council president. At this moment, Elnor's affection level had advanced to level 1, allowing him to claim a reward. Now, his mastery of the Tristan sword techniques had increased to 58%. He also learned a deep breathing technique from the demon hunter that improves his body's endurance. He finds it interesting, as it's perfect for combat, while Ilya is just staring intently at him, or maybe not at him, but at Elnor, who is acting completely indifferent. As the two of them continue to argue, our boy is just thinking. It makes sense now why this woman becomes so powerful when she turns into a demon. Also, Elia has just advanced from level 5 of curiosity to level 1 of interest, allowing him to claim another reward. He receives the skill Rule of Evil. This activates when he influences good-hearted individuals, and those individuals are forced to accept a request from him. The system also warns him that he should keep his friends close and his enemies even closer. A higher level of closeness with good people granted better rewards since it was more difficult. And if he managed to turn good people into bad ones, the rewards were even greater. Our boy is confused because the system seems to want him to turn everyone into bad people. A while later, deep in the forest, it's time for survival training. Conrad explains that the test is simple. They must go into the forest and bring back something they think he will like. For this, they have a maximum of 10 minutes. The points. Someone asks how the points will be calculated, but Conrad just tells them that's something they have to decide for themselves. The class president will help him evaluate the items, and wishes them good luck. Obviously, everyone thinks this is too vague, while Elia is furious about having to be judged by her. Looking at his system, our boy wonders how he's supposed to turn good people into bad ones. That's when Elia, looking as stunning as ever, asks him. She asks Daud if he wants to work with her today, but he tells her she should focus on her own friends. But she insists that he is a friend. But what our boy is really thinking is that this crazy girl needs to stick with the protagonist party, the ones who are supposed to defeat the future demon. Those same protagonists are staring daggers at him. Ilya invites him to join the group, but he refuses, knowing he will just end up being a nobody within their ranks. She looks all sweet, wanting to know what is wrong, and he just says nothing, only that they are not that close. That takes her completely by surprise, and she seems a bit hurt. Turning away, she says it is a shame, but it is okay. Even the nun hears him and looks devastated. Our boy fears he might have been too harsh, but he cannot afford to get too close to her. It is then that someone approaches, calling him by his full name, Daud Campbell, a blonde guy with his hand on his chin. He wants to know what his relationship is with the heroine candidate. Our boy knows this guy. It is Talion Arman, the second most skilled fighter only after Elia, and as always, with a carefree expression, he replies that they barely met, nothing more. But Talion immediately retorts that someone as talented as Elia should not have any relationship with him. At that moment, the Rule of Evil activates. The system notifies him that a good-hearted individual has become enraged due to his influence. Talion keeps mentioning the results of the duel, calling Daud weird, but our boy is actually pleased. He is finally starting to understand how turning good people into bad ones works. Talion keeps pressing him, demanding that he admit the duel was a fraud and knowing that this guy will become a sub-boss in the future. Our protagonist is sure that he is the perfect target for this skill, so he gets closer and tells him that the duel was not fake, but that apparently Talion just cannot accept the result. Probably seeing his goal destroyed with a single attack made him realize the difference in level between them. He says all this, and Elia, who is nearby, hears everything. Clearly irritated, Talion grits his teeth and proposes a bet. They should see who gets a better score on today's test. Daud thinks to himself, this is perfect. Meanwhile, someone is calling Eleanor. It is Conrad, reminding her that he asked for her help in grading the test, but she does not seem to be taking it seriously. That is because Daud Campbell has not even completed the test yet, but he already has the highest score. She simply replies that it is because the boy deserves it, then says that if he does not trust her judgment, she will have to stay close to him to make sure he really deserves it. But Conrad places a hand on her shoulder, warning her that he has already noticed. She always wants to be near him. Eleanor quickly denies it, saying that is not it. The only thing she does not want is for him to be alone with Elia. She asks Conrad for permission to follow Daud, but he warns her that if she does not take it seriously, she will be removed from the event. Meanwhile, the priestess is clinging to her rosary, thinking that Elia is acting differently today. In an impressive display, Elia is kicking monster butt left and right. The redhead who uses an axe asks where they can find stronger creatures. The blonde guy suggests that they should take this opportunity to collect some gems instead. They don't want to get a bad score. And the mage agrees, saying that for now that's the best strategy. But suddenly, a strange purple circle begins to form in the center of Elia's chest. Her expression begins to change as she slaughters the monsters. The priestess seems to be able to perceive emotions, even if it doesn't look like it. She knows that right now Elia is feeling angry, so she approaches her friend and asks how she has been feeling lately. Elia turns to her with a forced smile, saying that she's fine, that nothing's wrong. The priestess insists, telling her that if something is bothering her, she should just say it. But Elia turns away, telling her to forget about it, that she already said she's fine. Still, the priestess persists, saying that if something is wrong, she should talk about it. She knows that something is worrying her. Elia sighs, sits under a tree, takes a deep breath, and admits, It seems it's obvious, I guess you really can't lie to Trisha. Her friend sits next to her and comments that it seems she's upset because Daud Campbell keeps trying to keep his distance, even though she just wants to be his friend. Elia admits that's the case and finds it strange, because she and Daud have been through a lot together recently, yet he still seems to want to keep a barrier between them. Trisha comments that maybe those aren't his true intentions. Elia immediately wants to know what she means by that. Trisha explains that Daud comes from a small, unknown place. If people see him associated with a hero candidate, they might judge him. Elia asks if she's implying that everything Daud does is because he wants what's best for her. Her friend says yes, that she's sure he's only keeping his distance to improve his reputation and earn the right to be by her side. She's convinced that he sees her as a great friend. Our boy really can't lose a woman. Even when he does, people make sure to give her back to him. At that moment, the lucky bastard is running at full speed through the forest. The problem is that the talent he stole earlier is already reaching its limit, and his stamina is running out. The system tells him that he is influencing someone and gaining even more points. That's because Talion is desperately chasing him, and now our boy has received another command due to the sheer hatred the guy is provoking. He even shouts that he's going to kill him and roast him on a stake. Daud almost gets a spear in the back as Talion unleashes a flurry of thrusts, yelling at him to stop running like a coward and fight like a real man. Daud just asks him to wait a second. The moment Talion stops, he asks why they don't just split the rewards 50-50, but the second Talion yells in rage, our boy blows up a tree and bolts. At that moment, the rule of evil is still in action. Talion, with the blood of a warrior, readies his spear and throws it directly at our protagonist. But halfway there, a sword intercepts it, cutting the spear cleanly in half. Both of them freeze in shock when Elia appears, exuding pure confidence. She immediately orders Talion to get his hands off her friend now. The protagonist's luck has run out. She repeats her order, and Talion, still confused, asks what's going on with Elia. It's the first time they've seen each other since the day the monster escaped, but as she moves forward, placing her sword against his neck, she corrects him. It's the first time they've seen each other since the day he lost to her. Daud just wonders where the hell this crazy girl came from and why she's so worked up. Talion, still smiling smugly, says he really missed her, that it's good to see her again, but Elia just wants to know why he was attacking Daud. The fool tries to lie, but she just sweeps his legs out from under him, making him crash to the ground like a sack of trash. She then puts the sword to his throat again, saying she doesn't want to hear any excuses. Talion, still confused, demands to know why she's defending him when she's so skilled, but the girl simply replies that he has no right to interfere with the people she chooses to associate with. Talion scoffs, saying he doesn't like people who think they're better than everyone else. A little ironic, don't you think? Hypocrite. Elia replies that she's sure Daud would never act that way. Our boy is standing there, completely lost. Why is she so determined to protect him? And then he is warned that if he keeps provoking Daud, his life could be in danger. Talion realizes that if he had taken that hit earlier, he definitely would have died. So seeing that Daud wasn't a fraud, after all, he drops to his knees and apologizes, swearing he won't approach him again without her permission. She sheathes her sword and says they can get along this way. She walks away, leaving our protagonist still trying to process what the hell just happened. He can't quite understand why she reacted like that, but maybe they're still friends after all. But enough of this, he needed to go get his score. As he's heading back, he runs into Trisha, who tells him they've met before. He notes that she's one of Elia's friends and says he remembers her. The girl says she has something to ask him, and he already knows this means trouble. Trisha, a bit awkward, stumbling over her words as she tries to say something, but our boy just cuts her off with a gesture, saying he has to get his score first. However, Trisha is finding Elia's attitude strange. Normally she would have tried to talk to Talion, but this time she drew her sword immediately. At that moment, Trisha realizes Daud is a problem and our dear protagonist has a problem. When he arrives to talk with Conrad, a big fight had already broken out. Apparently, the professor had to work pretty hard to stop the student council president from going after our boy. She insisted she would do it no matter what, so Conrad told her she could if she defeated him first, and that's how she ended up on the floor, exhausted. He tells her she should get up already, commenting that she's improved quite a bit. At this rate, she'll surpass him soon. Daud, completely uninterested, just says he's here to get his score and leave. Conrad, almost forgetting the test, asks him what he brought. Our boy apologizes for taking so long, but says he found the best possible ingredients. He reveals a bag full of rare gems, and the professor congratulates him, saying he came in first place. He wonders if she'll really love all this. Now that he had finished his mission, he thought he should go talk to Elnor, since she was getting mad, but before he could do that, Trisha shows up asking if he's done yet. The professor leaves, and Trisha suddenly yells at him, telling him to take care of Elia. But at the same time, not to get too close, because apparently every time Elia is near a guy, she starts acting weird. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense to him, so he just replies, "Okay." Waving his hand, he says goodbye and tells her not to worry. He'll do the best he can. Trisha stays behind, thinking that he better act like that if he wants to get out of this alive. While healing Elnor, she reflects on something she already knows well. Elia may seem calm, but it's better not to push her too far. Sometime later, in the magic department, Percy asks if he finally plans to use the favor he received. He says yes. He's here to ask the goddess of magic for something. Percy just tells him to stop bothering her and warns him that she can't do overly complicated things anymore. He replies that it's not like she's the only one who will have to work to achieve it, but she immediately retorts that nobody would have to do anything if he just didn't use that damned favor. Our boy notices that everyone in the room is looking at him, but unfortunately he needs to prepare for the upcoming fight. She sighs, saying that because of the promise she'll do it anyway, so what is it that he wants? He gulps. One of the rewards he received from Elia worth 500 points was an evil seed. It could be exchanged for special abilities in the shop. Right now, he has a negative mark on Elia, which means he can use the rule of evil, forcing her to do whatever he wants. The same goes for Talion, as he has one too. These abilities, along with everything he's been collecting, would be perfect to help in the next fight. The problem is that right now he's still too weak to overcome the upcoming challenge, but he knows a way to fix that. So he says he needs a cannon strong enough to blow up the academy. Obviously, Percy just asks if he's lost his mind. He repeats his request, and she just looks at him like he's crazy. She tells him that building something like that isn't actually that difficult. The problem is how exactly he plans to use it, but he interrupts her, saying that the contract states she must grant any wish considered ordinary. A cannon isn't something unusual, so she has to do it. But Percy replies that creating a weapon capable of destroying the entire academy is anything but ordinary. But our boy insists he's not going to use it to hurt anyone. There's just something he needs to handle before it gets out of control. Obviously, she replies that this is even more worrying, but she sighs and agrees, saying that she trusts he has his reasons. Since he's been helping with the monster situation, she'll give him the benefit of the doubt and build the cannon he's asking for. Then, almost to herself, she mutters that she still can't believe the Chancellor trusts this guy so much. A guy who's basically already formed a harem. She's even starting to think that he's really going to save the world. He asks what the hell that harem thing means, and she freezes, realizing she said it out loud instead of just thinking it. She just stands there, looking awkward and blushing, while he tells her to calm down. He has one more request. She asks what it is, and that's when he remembers. He can choose an item from Vision's warehouse. That was the reward for breaking the record. Sometime later, walking down the hallway, now that he has permission for the cannon, he needs the exact materials, thanks to the interdimensional card. That might not be so difficult. Suddenly, a man with a cane calls out to him. He asks what he wants. Wait a minute. Doesn't that guy look exactly like the one from that bloody photo? Yes, this bastard is definitely the next villain. The man smiles, saying he never imagined meeting him here. What a coincidence! He introduces himself as Galder Riverback. He runs a charity center known as the House of Purification. However, Daud doesn't find this funny at all, because he knows it's just a front for money laundering. This bastard is the boss of this chapter. Known as the leader of Blazing Flame, the guy comments that he's heard quite a bit about the person who's been killing monsters. He always seems to be near Elnor. That's not something an ordinary person with normal abilities could do. A truly impressive young man, he hands Daud a card saying that whenever he meets an extraordinary student like him, he looks forward to seeing what the future holds. He would love to have dinner with the boy and asks if he's free. No way, old man! He already has plenty of women lining up to ask him to dinner. But our boy is ruthless. He just says that this conversation has already been more than enough. Once again, Daud realizes the original story is changing. This guy was supposed to approach him and his brother, so why is he trying to get close to him now? The system has recognized him as the protagonist. That wouldn't make sense, considering how this world's story is supposed to go. So he just tells the guy he's joking that he'll think about the dinner. With that, the man leaves, saying that in 3 days they will meet at the Eye of Twilight. Daud realizes he no longer has a choice, but this is still better than letting this guy get close to Elia. The Eye of Twilight is an extremely luxurious restaurant near the academy. The card Galder handed him is glowing like crazy. He has no choice but to go. After all, this is a main story event, and as always, from the beginning there are only 2 answers, yes or no. And when it comes to the main story, the answer is always yes. Because if he deviates from the main story, he dies. He starts thinking about all the people he has met so far and the situations he's already been through, trying to find the best way out and figure out how to handle this. After analyzing everything, he knows that defeating the Purifier might not be impossible. What he doesn't understand is why he is taking Elia's role. He decides to forget all that for now and just focus on what he needs to do right now. With that, he knocks on someone's door. He asks if she's there. She who? Elnor. In her room for the first time, this troublemaker isn't wearing her uniform. She asks what Daud is doing there, and he quickly reassures her she doesn't even need to come out. He just has something to discuss. She tells him to go on, and our boy, with an awkward face, clears his throat and hesitantly asks, "Would you be free in 3 days to have dinner with me?" While she thinks about it, the girl with glasses behind her starts scolding her for not returning her books. She keeps borrowing them, but they just gather dust. The girl doesn't stop complaining until Elnor finally tells her to shut up. Right after Daud asks, Elnor wants to know, "Will it be just the two of us?" He says yes. "You shameless liar," she asks where. And obviously he invites her to the Eye of Twilight. Immediately, the headmistress comments that that's a place for romantic dinners and Elnor. She just says that she already knows. Now she wants to know why he's inviting her. He tells her he'll explain when they meet, and just like that, she blushes and looks adorable. The next chapter starts in a field of flowers with someone calling out to Elia. The person wants to know what you're doing there, but with a choked up voice, she tells him not to talk to her. Whoever it is says he'll apologize for what he did to her, but she turns around and yells, "That's a lie! What kind of joke is pushing someone off a mountain?" He apologizes, saying it was an accident, but she tells him he really needs to stop hitting his little sister. Then he hands her a small package, saying that all he wants is for her to be strong and powerful enough to protect herself. She takes the bread and asks if he stole it, but he quickly says of course not. He just bought the leftovers because they were cheaper. Then he mentions that thanks to the Baron, he might be promoted to an apprentice knight. She asks what that means, and he explains that he'll be sent to the battlefield. There, he'll gain real-world experience and, who knows, maybe even get the title of Guardian. She scoffs, telling him to stop dreaming about something like that. Someone who hits his younger sister could never become a Guardian. P replies that life is full of mysteries and you never really know, but then she asks the obvious question. Doesn't he think he's going to die if he goes to the battlefield? He says that will only happen if he's unlucky, but he's very skilled, so he thinks it's impossible. Furious, she yells at him that she hopes he's unlucky and dies, since all he does is hit his younger sister, not to mention he never listens to his parents and only cares about swinging that sword around. He just laughs and tells her to remember when he becomes a Guardian, he'll always be there to protect her. Back in the present, she wakes up to someone knocking on her door. When she opens it, it's our boy standing there apologizing. He explains that since he's from the countryside, he's not really used to how things work here. That whole thing about them not being friends was a lie, and he wants to apologize. He even bought some cookies from the kitchen and brought them for her because they're really good. She just snatches them from his hands and tells him to stop apologizing because it's weird, especially when they're already friends. Then, turning around, she says she's going to sleep, but before she leaves, he asks her for a small favor. He wants her to go somewhere with him. It's urgent. Now she's wondering if this guy is crazy. Meanwhile, Elnore is sitting at her desk signing documents. Looking stunning as always, it seems they're reviewing material costs and funding for the clubs. The girl with glasses comments that the only thing left is to review the newly transferred students. It seems one of the new students belonged to the Tribal Alliance, but she lost her position. She's the daughter of one of the leaders from that place, which basically means she and her people are now exiles. Her name is Lilu Garuda, and judging by that devastating knee kick, yes, it's that girl with the thigh tattoo. Man, I'd be scared. Elnor simply replies that she might know her. Also, a real saintess from the Holy Empire will be arriving next semester. Elnor asks if she'll be coming alone, and her friend replies that of course not, she'll definitely bring some companions. Just then, our beautiful student council president starts to think it's strange that a saint and the daughter of a former tribal leader would arrive at the same time, so close to each other, slamming her desk, convinced that someone is behind this. Her friend just says that this place is always a mess, and Elnor sighs, admitting that she sometimes forgets. She apologizes, saying that she's been a little stressed lately, but that she'll calm down soon. Under the moonlight, our boy is lying down, commenting that he had no idea the school had an official observation time. The night sky is beautiful. She is already right beside him, asking if they really have to do this right now. The fool just tells her to wait, that it's about to happen. Wait, are they sitting on top of a catapult? They really are about to be launched, even though this place is usually restricted to high-level users. He has the Chancellor's special pass, so he says, here we go, and they are actually launched. He tells her to stay focused and to keep her eyes open. With that, they crash into a portal in the sky while he activates the interdimensional card. When he told her to keep her eyes open, she suddenly remembered her brother, who used to say something similar. Poor our boy. Yeah, he warned her this might be a little dangerous, because you still haven't liked this video to help the channel continue making incredible content like this. I hope you like it, and until the next video, bros, take care.